So anyway, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Whisky Exchange Whisky of the Year live Facebook tasting. So, my name's Billy Abbott. I am the Whisky Exchange's ambassador, in inverted commas, and Dawn.
And I'm Dawn Davies, and I'm the head buyer and general dog's body for the Whisky Exchange.
Yes, I'm office secretary, your general dog's body. So between the two of us, we basically keep people vaguely amused. So every year we run a variety of the year competitions. We select a bunch of spirits across various different categories, which are our favourite thing of the year. And one of them is one which, the Whisky Exchange. So the Whisky of the Year is the one which, we spend quite a lot of time on. And since last year for the first time, we decided to open it up not only to some people to come along and do a tasting with us, but also out to the internet in general, to buy a tasting pack, which I don't have to hand at them. Unfortunately,
it's our building block for the camera.
Our camera stand is currently made up of tasting packs. So yeah.
Oh, hold on.
There's a big one down there. Yep, excellent. So we have these tasting packs we've sent out to people containing 6 whiskies. Ooh, tasting pack. So we have tasting packs of 6 whiskies, all of them labelled blind, so A through F. So no one knows what they were, to the extent that I realised as we were setting up that I still, until just now, didn't know what any of them were. Well done me, and my ability to forget everything. And we sent those out, and we've had a web page up on the website for people to vote on their favourite, so that we can then have you guys helping us choose what the Whisky of the Year is. Not only that, but the nominations. 3 of the nominations, and I'm sure 3 of them Dawn will talk about in a bit. 3 of them came from Dawn and Sekinder, Big Boss Man, and 3 of them came from nominations on our website from you, the general public. So what we're trying to do is bring together some ideas. It's not just things that have been released this year. It's stuff that we've tried this year and we've really enjoyed. So
yeah, and I think that's the thing with Whisky of the Year, and now we're doing Rum of the Year, Gin of the Year, and Champagne of the Year. We've always, hey Sophia, hey guys, sorry, like hey, we've always really kind of been very keen on really heroing products, whether it's products we buy naturally or import or whatever. And this was a chance to really kind of say, actually, this is a brand or a single product that we just think, wow, this year you've really changed up the game, or we tasted and we think, oh my God, that's amazing. And Sakin has talked a lot about kind of, as we've been sort of doing these tastings, about how actually things really change year on year. So there's some whiskies in here that 2 years ago we would have been like, nah. And then, we were kind of, the ones that Sakin and I have picked, we've kind of gone and said, oh my God, we really, really love that. And that's because things change, batches change, different sort of little things go on in the sea. Even though you're looking at products that are by their nature consistent. Consistency is a general concept, that this is a living, breathing product. It's never going to be 100% the same year on year. And that's why we have ones that, so we tasted one the other day that we were like, oh, the last year we didn't put it in because we were like, yeah, we didn't like it. And then this year we were like, oh my God, that's so good this year. And it just changes. So, I think that's something to kind of keep in mind, that everything that we look at, you may think to yourself, when you find out the results, of course, oh, why do they pick that? But we've picked it because actually it's super interesting because the batch is different and we've really enjoyed it this year. So as we said, as Billy said, 3 are picked by yourselves and 3 are picked by us. Now the 3 that Sakin and I picked, we really debate on it, and it's quite funny watching Sakin and I go back and forth on this, because there's usually 2 that we're both 100% on, and we're like, yes, that's it. For me, and Billy will talk about kind of the criteria in a second, but for me, actually, the one I wanted to put in was Aaron Sherry Cask, because Dave Brim and I tasted that at Whisky Night Paris last year, and we're like, oh my God, I love this. And so I was like, Skinner, we have to put the Sherry Cask in. And Skinner's like, yeah, Aaron Sherry Cask, we're going to put it in. And then both of us like, oh, it doesn't fit the criteria. So Aaron Sherry Cask is not here, folks. But yeah, we go back and forth. We pull a lot of samples. We taste, because actually for the both of us, it's something that we we really, really genuinely believe in. And that's for all the categories, that actually they're products that we 100% are very passionate about.
So on that front, before I look up the exact criteria, because I've just realised that they changed slightly from last year, I want to make sure I get exactly the right numbers. What other categories are we doing this year? Because we've expanded the of the year this year.
Yeah. So this year we're also doing, we used to do a spirit of the year, but now we split that into rum and gin. For those of you who know me, you know how passionate I am about rum.
And also gin.
Less so gin.
No, I would say you're just as passionate about gin, but maybe in a different
very
gin.
Different
I quite
way.
like gin, so I try to balance out Dawn's mild
I
dislike.
like gin that tastes of gin. And I feel vehemently, well, I feel quite strongly about gins that shouldn't actually be classified as gin because they don't taste like juniper. And also we do champagne of the year. For those of you who know me, my background is wine, and we have done a hell of a lot of work on champagne. In fact, for those of you who don't know, I am heading in to 3 days of champagne show next week. So we've got about sort of 20 different talks and tastings with various brands and different products. We're doing little half bottle packs. It's definitely not on the scale of Whisky Show because that almost killed me. As you can tell, my voice is still not quite here. I have dark rings under my eyes. I can't remember who just commented on my hairstyle. The reason my hair is up is because I haven't had a chance to dye my hair or cut it in the past month. So hence
I've had the same issue, but nobody seems to have noticed. So yes, before the Whisky Show, I had a full head of hair, and my beard was dark brown.
Yeah, I've killed Billy and Dave.
I haven't had my beard trimmed. This is just literally the joys of wearing a mask all the time. Means that I now have like a mask line in my beard, because you breathe into it and it's like having a perm at all times, like this. So. And also the beard is just as long, but it's now just tucked in a load more.
What worries me is Billy knows what happens when you have a perm. I don't even know what happens when you have a perm. I don't put
products on it. It's just hot. And anyway.
So.
I used to have curly hair, but I used to have hair. But anyway, so criteria for the... we can't just have any whiskey as Whisky of the Year, because... we have like 5,000 of them on our website at the moment, which probably like 2,000 of them are like ongoing products. Yeah. That's 2,000 things to choose from, and that becomes really cool. So we have to do a little bit of a breaking down. So first things first, price. We say £65 as an upper limit, £65 and underneath as a solid range for good single malt, or good whiskey in general, not single malt, because that's the criteria we do not have. It has to be 48% and under. So we varied around a little bit over time on the strength.
Actually, we've gone up this year, it's 50%.
Is it 50%? Mm-hmm. Okay. My information is out of date. So basically, the idea behind that is we don't want cask strength whiskies. We don't want one-off whiskies. We don't want limited edition whiskies. And the next criteria is low limited editions. The whole point is there have to be whiskies that are ongoing. That are things which they're not something that's just going to win now and then 6 months down the line you'll never be able to find it again. We want to highlight whiskies that we think, we know, are going to hang around, are going to be best in class for a while.
Yeah.
If you look back across our range, the only one that didn't happen was the Glendronach 15, which
actually went horribly pear-shaped.
We sold so much of it that we basically sold all of the remaining Glendronach 15, and it went out of stock for 5 years. Anyway, it's back now, and if anything, I think it's actually better now.
Yeah, it's super good.
So what we're trying to do, we're trying to create a range of whiskies which are just great, reasonably priced. You'll be able to find them down the line. These aren't things that are pretty flash in the pan, run away. And when we talk about differences in batches and things like that, we're not talking about something where somebody slips us a really, really good batch of whiskey or anything like that. No. It's just stuff which is tasting great at the moment, but which overall isn't surprising it tastes great. It's what we're trying to go for.
I think that there is a consistency. So, if it's won Whisky of the Year before, we know that's always going to be a good product. But funnily enough, actually, we have found real variation between them. And it's that, for me, is quite exciting, because it means that actually it makes me think I should revisit these whiskies that I don't often try, because, we're very spoiled. And, really Stuart, you ask how many of those 5,000 products have you tried? Quite a few.
I at one point in time, when I first started out in the whiskey world, I wrote tasting notes on everything I tried. within about a week of starting at the Whisky Exchange, and it's my 10th anniversary at the end of April. Within weeks of starting Whisky Exchange, I stopped writing notes and everything because there was just not enough time in the day anymore. And so we're really, really fortunate the amount of whiskies we try. But one of the things you say we don't do is go back and try these things. And my colleague, Elixir Distillers, Ollie Chilton, a couple of years back, sat me down and told me off for not going and trying stuff. He said, go to the pub. One, just go to the pub. Oh, I wish I could go to the pub. Anyway.
I know. I've had a pint of Guinness, so I'm okay. I found a can of Guinness somewhere in the realms of my office, and I decided I was going to drink it. So.
I should have got my bottle of Orval from the fridge, because that stinks of Brett, and I know how much you love Brett.
I love Brett.
Wine person, hates Brett and the Weisses. Anyway, moving on from the beer geekery. So yeah, it's trying these things, going back to the down pub, and just trying the regular releases, because your regular releases of whiskey, there's a reason why they're regular releases. They're really great. You get these incredible limiteds and things like that, which taste marvelous and are great. But it's this stuff which is going out there consistently every year, all the time. Yeah. So I now have a number of those bottles on my shelf.
And, I think that's the point, isn't it? It's about showing people that actually consistency and general whiskey is as exciting. It's just, it's a different kind of look at it. So on that note, we should probably kind of start having a drink.
Don't worry, Brett. It's a different Brett. I'm sure Dawn would like you. Don't worry.
I'm sure I'd love you, Brett.
He's a nice Brett. I know that. He's a nice Brett.
So, blind tasting. So all of the whiskies in front of you are blind. Now, just to warn you, I have changed the order tonight. You have whiskies A to F. I can't count, can't do the alphabet, so we're all screwed. And I have swapped two of them, but I will tell you. And the reason I do that is because when I go along and I taste in the very beginning, when you put a pack together in the beginning, things change, you're kind of looking at it. And so I always assess, and those of you who do the shop tastings with us in London, in Covent Garden, and we miss that. Love my shop boys, I'm missing them. Well, London Bridge and Great Portland Street are still open. So please, if you're around, go and visit them. Mm-hmm. And so, I think the thing is that when you're tasting blind, I sometimes fix it up because I'll be like, hold on, that doesn't quite work because it's not how I remembered it. My God, I've lost Billy already. That's very exciting. And here's one I made earlier.
Sorry, I just realised I hadn't turned the power on my laptop. So I literally had to just go and turn. Anyway, so
this is what happens in virtual tastings. But so I'll make an assessment on the day when I taste. So I have done traditionally a lot of blind tasting. Many of you probably haven't got a clue who the hell I am. You'll all know Billy because Billy is the star. But my background is wine, and I am what we call a master of wine. So to gain that qualification, I have had to do a series of exams and things, and blind tasting is very much part of it.
Just to briefly break in, when Dawn says a series of exams, what she means is she basically has to do a PhD in wine. How many years was that, Dawn? Yeah. So, a series of exams. It's a little bit more than that. Anyway, please continue.
But part of that is doing blind tasting. And when you're blind tasting, and I taste for my career. I'm the buyer. I am literally someone that will assess product on a continual basis, day in, day out. I mean, if any of you would have seen my office, or you won't have seen my office, but it is literally piled high with drink and booze and everything. It's all a little bit cray-cray. But the one thing is that I do everything. I assess everything, and that's my job to assess. But I've been doing this for 20 years. I know I look so young. Actually, I don't look young because I've got really grey hair at the moment. But the thing is actually when you're assessing product and you're doing it on day to day, it's very different than if you're tasting or drinking as just a consumer that just wants to enjoy. It's a very, very different process. So tasting blind, what I want you to do tonight is to really just remove any preconceptions. I don't want you, am I allowed to swear, Billy? Okay.
Yes.
Billy's saying I can't swear. So I don't want you to give a flying beep about what the product is. That's irrelevant. What you think it is doesn't matter. I actually don't even want you to even vaguely guess. No one put comments on what it is because I don't care what it is. I just want you to assess what's in that glass. Is it good? Is it balanced? Is it going to give someone pleasure? That's it. Is it Moorish? Do you want to keep drinking it? Because that is the real key to buying product. And everything that I put on that I really believe in is something I've tasted and I thought that's a damn good dram, tot, whatever.
Gin.
Right. So,
and as I say, that's the key thing, and a very, very important thing also when talking about judging, rather than just judging blind. So blind tasting is one thing, but judging, I judge a stupid number of whiskey competitions.
you do judge.
I need to judge fewer whiskey competitions. Anyway, so there are people from all over the world popping up.
I know, it's amazing. So, Tasmania, Canada, East Coast. Can I just say East Coast, America? I'm high-fiving you right now. Love you guys.
And Belgium, yet I think. For Mr. Barrow there, none of this is real. All of this whiskey here is fake. Every single bottle. Down just around the corner, we've got all the fake Ardbegs. Loads of them. Loads of fake Ardbeg. Yeah, you love it. Anyway, yes, I was saying, judging. When you judge, it's not necessarily about. My God, everybody's popping out. Dudley and Colin Dunn from Hounslow, Mr. C. Dunn from Hounslow. That's
Colin. We're doing a tasting soon together. Can't wait.
We'll talk about that then. Anyway, so no, judging. It's not about. It's not only about you, and this is one of the big things.
Yeah,
when talk about judging.
Super important.
And people talk about objectivity when it comes to flavour being impossible. It's not. It's one of those things where you have to try it and say, I might like it. But do other people like it as well? There's certain whiskies that I know I don't like, certain styles of whiskey which I cannot stand. And I've done competitions back before I became more experienced where I just say, I can't judge this because I despise it and everybody else at the table loves it. And I know it's because I don't like that style. Now I'm actually quite good at this sort of thing, so I'm quite good at guessing. But it's one of those ones where you need to step outside yourself a bit. Of course, your own opinion is going to be in there, and don't ever lose that. No. But you need to try and be a little bit more open-minded and sort of try something and say, well, this isn't my style of whiskey. But look at the quality of the spirit, look at the way it all works.
And we'll talk a lot about kind of how you assess and what's a good product and what isn't a good product, because that's super important. And Billy's 100% right. There are products on the website that I buy that I'm not going to lie to you, I don't like. In fact, I actively dislike. But I recognize that my customers, or it's something that I know I don't like. Billy talks about Brett. I don't like a certain amount of Brett. I understand a bit of Brett, but I don't like a lot of Brett. But I recognize that are styles that are good with it. So, it's all about kind of taking your own perception out of it and just judging the liquid on essentially really, really simple things. Is it balanced? Does everything feel harmonious in the glass, on the nose? Is it interesting? How many times do you go back and smell it and say, do you know what? Ooh, I found that. Ooh, I found that. And what I would say to you is if you have 6 glasses and you've got the pack, try and put all 6 out. If you don't, try and at least have 2 glasses so you can go back and forth and compare. Do not drink everything in one go. Save some, because what I'm going to ask you to do at the very end is go back the other way and taste. Because sadly, when we're judging or blind tasting, bigger flavors will always grab you more than more subtle, elegant flavors. And that's because when your palate gets tired, 2, it kind of punch you first. But what's really, really, really important is to actually just keep looking at how much that product talks to you. What I don't want you to do is find the bigger whiskies and say, oh my God, they're amazing, I love them because they're big and powerful. When I judge competitions, I actively, towards the end of the day, reject products that are really big and hit my palate and I like. I say to myself, no, I'm tired, or I've tasted like 80 wines or 40 spirits, and my palate needs to adjust to that. So if I find big products at the end, I immediately downgrade them in my estimation, and I upgrade products that are lighter and more difficult to kind of discern, because I'm recognizing my palate's tired, and that's super, super important. Mm-hmm. So I reckon we need a little drink.
I was about to say, I just looked at the time and realised Dawn and I quite like talking, and I realised we have failed you in making sure you're actually drinking. So
let's pick up the first glass.
Just one very quick question. We just got a comment there about a specific thing. We're doing a blind tasting. We're not going to mention any product names at all. So please don't talk about products. Even though that's obviously, you just said, I've got some cool stuff. We're not going to talk about any specific products because I will accidentally tell people what's in this list otherwise, you see, and I don't want to do that. So, yeah.
Don't mention any brands. Just think about these products as products. So pick up the first one. I have very excitingly kept A as A, which is in my terms quite ambitious, because I do go rogue on many occasions.
You have a rogue.
I have a rogue mask.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah.
Oh no, I've got my Drinks Trust mask.
Okay.
Just while I'm going to punt out a bit of Drinks Trust love, can you support our community and our bars and our restaurants? Oh God, I'm like, where's the camera?
There we go.
And go on the Drinks Trust website and buy your face mask from the Drinks Trust, because all the donations go to the bars and restaurants that we are missing so desperately tonight. That is my shout out to my wonderful bars and restaurants that I miss so dearly. Right, so product one, product A.
Number A.
Number A, which is what I said to Billy earlier. So when you're looking at this, so the first thing you want to do is smell. Now, when you're smelling a spirit, and especially when it's the first spirit, no, we won't tell you what is in the glass. We do not reveal what the whiskies of the year are until the 1st of December.
Yes.
So then we will do a grand reveal.
And we might even do a video. I think we're looking into that at the moment.
Another video.
So many videos.
So many videos. So many.
Yes,
so
yeah.
When you're looking at it, it's a spirit. Take it to your nose gently. Just kind of smell. Some people like to swirl. Some people don't. Your choice. I'm a swirler. I've done this all my life. I'm a wine girl. Kill me or sue me, whichever you want. So on the nose, when you're smelling it, kind of think about what and I'm really happy people throw in comments of what you're smelling on this first one, because I want your feedback. I want you to tell me what you're smelling. So for me on the nose, I get this lovely sort of soft fruit. This is a really gentle whiskey. It's got a little bit of apple. It's got some pear. It's got some peach. A bit of vanilla there. This is just super sort of soft and gentle. It's just inviting, I think it's quite simple in its style, but I do think there's some just very, very pretty, some florals in there as well, a little bit of some orange blossom, a little bit of pear blossom. It's white flowers is kind of what I'm getting to on that.
A quick answer to the question from Sachin. This set of samples is not available for purchase at the moment because they sold out.
Yeah.
We
will have the reveal set from the 1st of December.
Yeah, so once we actually, once we decide the winner, which will happen next week, early next week, end of this week.
So we shut down on the 17th, I think, for last votes.
So so next week we shut down.
Then we take time to just kind of get everything sorted, and then we announce on the 1st of December. Absolutely, lemon oil, light vanilla, sweet, absolutely. It's got some really just easy drinking. So have a little taste. This is juicy, and when you're tasting, there's things you want to look at. And I'm a wine taster, so I very much look at texture. The nose I look at for flavor profile, because the nose gives you everything. If you do like that and taste, you won't taste anything. But look at acidity. Actually, I find quite a lot of acidity on this. Really? I don't remember this having quite as much acidity. No, it's very, very zingy. Or I'm starving, one of the two. You want to look at tannin and texture. What does it feel like on your palate? For me, this is a little bit like cotton wool. There's a little bit of kind of softness to it, but then there's just this slight tannin edge. It's like if you stew a tea bag or chew a grape skin, that's where you get that tannin note. And there's a little grip of it, It's
a little bit, a bit on the sides of the tongue.
It's not long. Yep. Then look at the alcohol. The alcohol you're feeling here, is it warm? Is it in balance? If the alcohol is too high, you'll be like, and if it's gentle, it's just kind of holding that fruit and everything that's going on. How much do you think about it? Complexity is a really, really interesting and very, very key point. Is this asking questions? Is it asking you to go back? Is it moreish? Do you want to keep drinking it? That's super important for Whiskey of the Year. Is this a one glass wonder? If it is, kick it to touch. If it's a 2, 3, 4, then that will go into responsible drinking.
Yes.
Then it's a very different matter. But you want a moreish whiskey. That's what we want. We want people to kind of really enjoy and say, oh, I had this really great whiskey. I love tasting it. The other thing is, how long does it stay on your palate? Is it very short? Does it stay medium length for me? Probably medium.
Say medium long. So something like that. It's still hanging around for me at the moment. It's had a journey as well. And the thing from your texture, you're sort of saying is very important about the nose. I'm absolutely fascinated by taste and smell and the way it works. I've got a fantastic book by Harold McGee, which is which is his new book. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's all about smell and taste. And looking forward to it. But the way that taste works, taste is not just your tongue. Taste is a combination of your nose, your tongue, and it's also not just taste and smell. It's also
eyes
and texture. It's touch. You know, it's actually the physical interaction with your mouth. So apart from sound, apart from hearing, you can sort of hear the whiskey
food
as well.
Hearing is important.
So crunch for food, things like that. So all your senses are involved when you actually drink something. So you put it in your mouth, vaporizes, travels into your nose, you get complex flavor from there. The tongue then gives you the broad swaths of flavor, the salty, sour, sweet, umami, and all that sort of thing, although umami and whiskey is rare. And then you also
I've had umami on rye.
I've had umami on shochu. Oh, lovely. Anyway,
that's not whiskey, Billy.
I'm slightly obsessed. Anyway, taste of
I've just had to tell Billy what's not a whiskey.
So
things are going horribly pear-shaped in the world. Get me out of lockdown now.
It's only just started. Anyway, but also you have the texture. So all these things come together, but all those things come from different parts of your head. It all feels like it comes from your tongue because that's how your brain organizes it. Brains are marvelous. And so think about all those different things. Consider all those different bits because they all hit different senses within your head. And that's the thing I try to say.
And, you know, and I think so when you look at this whiskey and, you know, absolutely, Pam, you're right. Banana, floral, little bit of bubble gum. Absolutely. You know, you're all right. Powdered sugar. Definitely. You know, and what you think is 100% right. If someone disagrees with you, go tell them to get lost because frankly it's your cultural references, it's what you've tasted through your life,
it's your memory, it's so much of this is not going to be the same thing. It's not going to be the same chemical, it might be a vaguely similar chemical, but it's going to be something that fires a memory
in your head
for some reason for that thing. And it's one of those wonderful things when you taste with someone quite often, they'll say something and you'll go, you mean this. So me and my colleague Tim Forbes, he talk about wet dogs, I talk about wet car blankets because it's exactly the same sort of memory and same smell from the same things, but they were two different actual physical objects.
The only one that I don't think anyone's quite got, I have this thing with lice shampoo that when I was a kid, I used to have this lice shampoo that obviously has this ingrained memory in my head. And a lot of old whiskies have lice shampoo. So every time I talk about lice shampoo, and no one, now Sakinda knows exactly what I'm talking about when I talk about lice shampoo, but I can't distill it into anything else but lice shampoo, and I haven't quite worked that out. So, you know, sometimes it's a really, really personal thing, like your grandma's like custard, or like, you know, something super, super specific to your world, and that's fine. So, you know, how does everyone find this one? It's just super easy. I think it's just gentle. I think it just invites you in. I think it says, in the words of Mr. P, hello, how are you? You know, it's just a very drinkable whiskey.
Yes. And the thing for me, it's not, it has some, the reason why this is actually in the set, the reason why it's there is because there's a little bit more to it than that. There is some complexity. It does do something a little bit more than just be an easy drinking whiskey. It's an easy drinking whiskey which has more stuff.
And actually, yes, this could be a happy Friday morning whiskey. You know, whiskey. I do whiskey. I think I have a Moscato not Dasti. I have a Moscato from Australia that I always call my Friday morning breakfast wine. I absolutely agree. This could be your Friday morning whiskey. I know it's Wednesday. I don't even know what day it is.
One of the notes I've had for this in the past, and I don't think I've published it, so you can't search for it to work out what it is. It's shreddies and milk. On the back of it,
it's got this kind of
let them go soggy.
Malty kind of. I get that. Yeah.
Sherbet lemons and shreddies with milk. I think that's my first original taste note for this.
And you know, Pam, you're absolutely 100% right. You know, who you're with, what you're doing, everything changes what you taste. We've all had that holiday wine or spirit that we've been like, this is the best thing we've ever tasted. And you buy like a case or several bottles, and then you get it home to the cold.
Bottle's got a straw hat on it. And
it's like a worm in it. And then you get home to cold, miserable England, if you're living in England, and you're like, wow, this is super bad. You know, why isn't it the same as it was when there was sunshine and like really good stuff happening, you know, like, and no rain and a beach and a couple of pina coladas, and you know.
At the same time, that's part of the analytical side that you have to sort of like try and divorce, and that's the difficulty with these things, is to actually separate surroundings and things like that. And
that's why sort of when I taste them, when I do assessment, I actually tend to taste at a similar time all the time, because I know, and if I feel my palate, if I'm in a bad mood, I'll just stop tasting, because I just know I'm not going to taste in the same way.
Yeah. So tastings for like, you know, PR tastings, the sort of things that I get dragged along to, they're generally sometimes between 4 and 7.
Yeah.
At the moment, because of Zoom, they're normally sort of 4 till 6, 4 till 5. So I now have shifted my tasting time to be basically between 4 and about 8 in the I used to taste in the morning. Now I taste between about 4 and 8, because that's when all the tastings where I need to actually get notes down and stuff actually happen. So I've had to sort of change the way I taste in order to fit in with reality. So that's my excuse for drinking it at the end of the day anyway.
Well, I drink at the end of the day anyway. I don't need an excuse, just a hard day. So,
anyway, so
whiskey A we've done.
Yeah.
We're now moving not on to whiskey B, folks. No, I'm seeing if you're awake, even if it's 6:30 in the morning. I am moving on to whiskey C. That's C for cat, just if anyone missed it. So I've done that because actually when I tasted the two together, I just felt that the whiskey C was a better fit in the number 2 position. So go to whiskey C if you've got the tasting pack. So whiskey C.
Yeah.
On the nose. So for me.
Yes, Maxine, we've just finished the first one. We are now on to the third. The third one.
Which is C.
Don't look at Dawn's ones. Look at my ones. My ones are in the right order because Dawn is trying to confuse everybody.
I am not. I am just seeing if you're awake.
We are on to the third whiskey C, as it says on the bottle.
C. Obviously, Billy and I were never cheerleaders in a former life. So, you know, for me on the nose on this one, I think there's some really pretty fruit. I think this is what I really love. I think this whiskey really draws you in. I think it's got this lovely kind of pear. I get a lot of fresh pear on this. I get kind of this again, there's some florals. It's actually fairly similar to A. There's just a little bit more kind of, for me, that orchard fruit. There's less of the kind of florals in this one. There's more orchard fruits. There's that kind of little bit of smoke starting to creep in there. Is kind of, but it's gentle. It's very subtle. It's just it's almost like a little kind of autumn leaf, kind of your bonfire, you know, that kind of your dad's just put the bonfire on, and it's just a little gentle
damp leaves.
Yeah, it's not.
It's an autumnal.
Yeah.
Forest flory sort of leafiness.
Absolutely.
Which is not actually a smoky note, but it is a smoky note. Yeah. But yeah, everybody's just jumped on the same thing. But the citrus, the zinginess of that as well, it's lovely. Absolutely.
Super bright, fresh, lemony. But it's kind of lemon peel and also a little bit of the rind in there. You know, and you know, if you taste it, so texturally, this is a little bit bigger. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit more grip. There's more of that kind of structure. I feel, whereas the first one kind of floated around my palate, this one's a little bit more linear. It's kind of traveling through like this. It's kind of a little bit cooling menthol on the finish. It's got this really, that smoke is actually a little bit more prevalent on the palate than on the nose. I think on the nose it was there, but now it's turned to dry.
On the nose,
leaves.
There were notes that indicated to me there would be more smoke on the palate. There's certain things which go along with smoke. And on the nose, you got the precursors, almost like not the actual smokiness itself. But this is actually the eye of raking some leaves that were burned last night.
Yeah, and you've got a lot more kind of definition on it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's that citrus peel, isn't it? It's that kind of
the pithy peely.
Yeah, the pithy.
It's the citrus oil. It's the point where the citrus oil, and you go, oh, that's citrusy. Or it's a little bit of a zingy burn.
A little bit of grapefruit as well, maybe. I think it's not, and it's a white grapefruit. It's definitely kind of got that kind of lovely freshness to it, and I think that's what I get on the menthol side of it, is that when I breathe in after tasting it, I just get this lovely cooling sensation.
The one like Pam, I'm really very much liking your tasting notes.
Yeah, Pam's on fire today.
Top work.
Pam's always on fire.
I may have to steal borrow leverage.
Steal.
But no, the stone fruit thing, and on the nose, the stone fruit, which is then come from the palate. That apricotty peachy thing is, for me, it's not quite either of them. It's sort of an in-betweeny sort of thing. It's that classic sort of stone fruit.
Could be almost a nectarine, which kind of for me sits in between that apricot and that peach, because peach is quite floral. Apricot is not. Apricot's a little bit sort of softer.
Sort of
and nectarine sort of sits in the middle with a little bit more citrus notes.
Definitely some lovely.
My God, we've just dissected 3 fruits.
I was talking to someone about yuzu earlier on. So,
oh my God, yuzu! I love yuzu.
Love
I could
yuzu.
talk about yuzu all day. But yeah, I think there is a little hint of kind of mushroom. I think that eucalyptus, my menthol, absolutely. You know, again, that's kind of how you're interpreting it. But I just think there's something really lovely about this. I think this, you know, when I said to you, this asks questions. I think the first one was quite simple and it just kind of gave you everything and it was just delicious and easy. This is kind of saying, hold on a minute, come back and talk to me, because I'm going to give you more every time I go back in the glass. And that's something to kind of keep in your head and just think, okay, how much is this talking to me? How much is this asking questions of me? Because that's, you know, something that's really, really important when you're assessing a quality of something, is that how much can you pull from that glass? The more you pull from it, the more complexity there is on it. The more you go back to it and say, oh, I've just found this, I've just found this, I've just found this. Yeah, absolutely. You know, that hint of bacon, that little bit, it's almost bacon fat for me. It's
almost going towards sort of the mapley bacon, that sort of like sweet curry
San Daniele kind of slightly sort of.
I wouldn't know, of course, because I don't eat fat or anything like that. So.
Well, Billy is being very good. I am attacking Billy's belly. We are working, and actually, Billy, I was going to say to you today, I think you've lost a bit of weight.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you.
I am very proud of Billy right now. Yes, I am.
I might have had some trito for lunch, but it was really good.
We're working on him. It's a very slow bit of progress. But
no, but definitely that smokiness, is that sweet cured smokiness, that sort of baking stuff, that you get that fattiness, because this has got some, again, texture-wise, we're talking about how it's got more.
There's something there.
It feels thicker as well. Yeah. And because again, it's the thickness of the spirit. It's no added sugar or anything in any of these. So it's how it's just pulled, what is pulled from the wood, the spirit itself originally, how thick that was. And there's a viscosity, which is definitely more than that first one, I would say. And again, it's a difference. It's not like
they're not worse or better. They're just different. And I think that's a really good point, Billy. Yeah, a little bit more savory. Absolutely. We're going to make him waste away, Stuart. You're not going to recognize him soon. I tell you, I'm on a mission.
I'm down with
I'm like Billy's like guardian angel. Maybe not an angel, maybe a duppy. I'll be an evil spirit, you know. Right. So, shall we move on to whiskey B?
Number B.
B, which would be whiskey 2.
But after this, it's simple again.
Then we just go on to normal. Then I haven't gone rogue for the rest of this. So, I think if you pick up this one, I think it's quite interesting. This one is one that I kind of go back to time and time again. I mean, because I know what these are, and this one is always the one that slightly surprises me, and I'm always quite pleased by it, actually, in a funny way.
For a variety of reasons, I've been trying this whiskey and some of its stablemates recently, and I can now pick that out.
Yeah,
it's so distinct. It's weird. Until last night, I finally had this sort of, and it's got a very distinctive character.
And for me, this one on the nose is all about apples. This is apples. I think, you know, it's a little bit of yellow apple. It's some red apple. Then there's this kind of really nice, there's a smokiness there to it again. But again, I think it's very similar to the last smokiness. It's about those autumnal leaves. Actually, I get a lot of autumnal characters in this. You know, I really kind of feel like I'm walking through the forest and it's a dry day and there's just, you know, you're kicking up leaves. And
for me, it's got a little bit of that sort of like Halloween-y, sort of like toffee apple type thing, bonfire night.
This is, I mean, the Americans out there will get me on this. When I say candy corn, I really get a bit of candy corn on this, and that's such an American.
I'm a scholar of sweets, so but I think actually that probably comes
plums,
from,
absolutely, but yellow plums.
Yeah. I think it comes that candy corn thing for me, like toffee apples, that comes from it feels like a sort of bonfire night thing, a Halloween. For us, we have bonfire night over here, so it's sort of standing outside with fireworks and things. Halloween, not so much of a big thing till recently, but sweets. And so you get that sweet shop thing, you get bonfires, but it's that autumnal feel. And for me, the apples is really big part.
Yeah, apples is for me really huge. And yeah, Pam, I think you're very right. I think there is a nuttiness there. For me, it's a very fresh nut. I would call it like a green hazelnut. Because I when I look at nuts, I look at some that are very fresh and then sort of some are a little kind of drier. That is hysterical. Yeah. We're watching Billy's computer with his sort of comments, and some of them are very entertaining. I'm not sure I should be reading some of them.
Well, yeah, but that was a very old conversation you just saw the end of there. So yes, anyway, I'm just very
Jason,
pleased.
if you're watching.
I'm just pleased that Connor's, you didn't pop up with one of his things, but it's just one of his streams of invective. That man knows how to swear in an effective fashion, the way that only a man from Gateshead can. But yeah,
it's just a lovely little. I think actually tea. There's a little bit of kind of black.
That's what
tea,
Pam was saying.
Pam saying, and I think I remember when we were doing this tasting for Whiskey Show. I actually think this is the one I got a little bit of peach iced tea on. Mm-hmm. Again, if you're American, you have that kind of peach iced Lipton iced tea kind of thing. Walking through the forest and apple falls and hits one on the head in a good way.
Yes, solid.
Solid. There, done. Yeah. We finished. Thanks, folks. We'll see you later. So if you have a little taste.
I think the distinctive thing, there's a certain sort of like fruity, I think it's a sharp apple thing, the distinctiveness I'm thinking of. But yeah, there's lots of cool stuff around the outside. Anyway.
And I love this because this has, it kind of has everything I want in it. It's got, texturally, it's quite sort of silky, but then there's this lovely dry finish, a little bit of kind of chili. It's not menthol this time. It's a green chili. It's a kind of very gentle chili. Stem tea. Ooh, I like it, Patricia.
I still get a bit of mintiness. I thought one of those mint creams.
Yeah. What were those British candies, like humbugs?
Yeah. The sort of
the white and black stripes.
Yeah. Mint cream and humbug, quite similar sort of pepperminty, sort of peppermint oil flavour to it. Yeah.
Peppermint oil, I like that. Yeah, jasmine mint. Pam, would you want to come work with me? My God, we'll sack Billy. We'll bring you in. I can't sack Billy. I love Billy. But yeah, this is a texture. I really like it. I think in terms of a finish, it's a little bit shorter than the last one. I think it's kind of a little less kind of complex, but it's really drinkable.
Yeah. There's certain notes, there's certain things which I really, really like in whiskey, certain notes I seek out on the fruit front and on waxiness. It's got a hint of that waxiness. The mintiness is going into almost like mint cake. That's not a thing, but if it was a thing, I would like it. And so those
Kendall mint cake.
Oh, Kendall mint. I wish I could eat that stuff. I'm not allowed that anymore.
No, you're not allowed.
I'm definitely not allowed that. But yeah, things. Yeah, mint cakes, that crumbly mint sort of feel. Which is the reason why I like those mint creams as well. That sort of squidgy fondant mint, but still grainy, and it's got some of that in there. It's got some waxiness. It's got some of that sort of dried apple and things like that.
Yeah, it is. It's on the palate. It's dried apple, and I think actually ginger. Yes, it's the heat of the ginger. You're 100% right. It's maybe not the flavor of ginger. I think it's a little softer spice. It's probably kind of a sweet spice. If you're sort of making Indian food and you kind of start putting your herbs in the pan or your spices in the pan and you're getting a dry heat, that for me is that aroma that comes through on that. And it's a little bit of that kind of coriander and things like that. It's definitely, it's a really just an interesting whiskey. And this is one I've done this tasting now many, many times. Amazed I'm still doing it. Feels like a lot more. And actually this is the one that I've been really, because normally when I do this tasting, I'm very clear on who I think the winner should be, or I'm between two. And this is the one that I've kind of come back to quite a few times, and I'm just not sure. I love it, and I'm kind of like, do I love it enough to go number one? Do I love it? Is it number two? Mm-hmm. And this is the one that's asked probably of me the most questions, but because there's so many things I love about it. So this is a really, really, really interesting one, and something that's just a little bit different. Of
the entire lot, when I just go up there earlier on, this is the one that I have not tried for a long time, and I'm very pleased to come back to it. And annoyingly, I may have to.
And what's interesting, this is one of the ones Sakin and I put forward, and we even surprised ourselves when we put it forward. And it was because we'd had a conversation about something, and both was like, "Have you tried it recently?" And I was like, "I've tried the other one in as Billy says, the portfolio and family, and we were like, let's go back and taste it." And we pulled it, and we were like, "Ooh, this is good." And I love those ones. Those are the ones that when Sakin and I are surprised by something, I love it, because that genuinely means that it's a really, really interesting whiskey. Because I think, like Sakinda is the palate when it comes to whiskey. I am nowhere near Sakinda in terms of whiskey. I can just taste. But yeah, it's super interesting when both of us are so surprised by something and we're just like genuinely happy when we try it. And I think that's what it should make you do. You know, does it make you happy? That's whiskey of the year. Whiskey of the year should make you happy.
You very briefly mentioned about first and second votes and where you want to put it. For people who haven't voted yet, people wondering how we do our voting, I'm a massive voting geek.
Yes.
And so when we did the first one, someone said, we'll just do a sort of like vote for what your favourite is. And I said, no, we must not do this. We must do a transferable vote because they are the only. So we do a...
it gets quite complex.
It's actually really simple. And that's the whole thing. And I'm just saying this for all the people who are opposing AV things on various different referenda around the world in the US and the UK. Anyway, moving on.
Biden won.
We do it in London and it's fine. And nobody gets that confused when you have 97 things to write. Anyway, so... everybody gets two choices. You get your first choice and your second choice. And so you ask everybody to say what your first choice is and what your second choice is. And that way, if nothing wins more than half the votes on the first round, we then take everybody apart from the top two places, and then we take all the 3 through 6, and we give all their second choice votes, which are for the first two, to them, and whoever wins. And
actually, what I think will be very interesting, and I've been looking at the kind of the voting process has gone on, and we did votes for Whisky Show, and we'll put those into that as well. And it's super close right now. And I reckon this will be the closest year we've ever done. And we've had very close years, but for me, this will be the closest year because none of us can figure out which one we like the most. Because every time I do this lineup, I change.
Should we try another whiskey?
Yes. So the next one is, funny enough, A, B, C, D.
Stuart, I don't need to do a recount because I have a spreadsheet which gives the exact numbers of all the votes. We don't have as many votes as Florida.
Honestly, I would lend him to the United States to do the fucking recount votes because I tell you now, it would be done.
25 minutes. Give me a spreadsheet. I'll sort it.
So anyway. The next one. This again was one that kind of surprised us, and it was kind of one that I've always liked from the stable, the whiskies. I think they're very approachable. I think they're very interesting, and I think this is that. It's on the nose. It just says, hey, I've got this lovely core again of sort of soft orchard fruits. It's very interesting. On all of these, you get orchard fruits. Even the last two, which are kind of big smoky beasts. And this one definitely has a core. It's a little bit more, for me, if we're talking citrus, a little bit more orange. I get definitely more of that kind of, it's not lemon, it's a softer, maybe it's mandarin or clementine or something. Then there's this layer of kind of, for me, a little bit of red fruit. It's just very, very gentle. There's a nuttiness there. And in this case, for me, that nuttiness is probably more of a kind of walnutty. There's something there that's definitely got, summer pudding, definitely,
for me, this is cake. It tastes to me of a sponge cake, a lightly spiced sponge cake, maybe with some candied orange on top of it. So the orange thing I definitely get, but it's also, that you say strawberry leather in there. For me, it's not strawberry. It's that.
I think it's the plums.
Yeah,
but it's
like
red plums.
A dried fruit thing. So,
just so you know, I think I'm going to go up for election in the UK. If anyone wants to vote for me, I think Dawn Davies, Prime Minister, sounds quite good.
Dawn Davies, MWMP.
Oh, I love it. I've always wanted world domination.
How many letters can you get after your name? I had to give some of mine back.
Yeah, Billy has a lot of letters. But I think you're right. For me, it's almost a trifle. With that maraschino cherry. Yeah. You know almost what I mean. That kind of
the cakey bits. That's the lady finger
bits
or whatever,
and everything. Yeah, I think Battenberg. Ooh. Ooh, Stollen and marzipan. Marzipan, I think, is super good. Caramel, absolutely. I think, it's definitely got, there's quite a lot going on in there.
When I get my nose really in there, it's about strawberry leather, so that dried down, concentrated berry fruit thing. Strawberries are really interesting because they're quite sour along the sweetness. And I think this has got a strawberry plummy.
Well, If I remember rightly, when me and Sakinda tasted this last time at Whiskey Show, I think both of us said, or when we were doing for a press thing, now it's all rolling into one. I think we said it had dried strawberries in it. So, absolutely. It's that. It's not fresh. It's not fresh fruit. This is not about fresh fruit. This is about dried fruits. It's very much about candied kind of peel and things like that.
It reminds me, and this is going to be a very specific memory, and I do apologise for it. Me and some mates used to run a biannual pie-off, semi-annual pie-off, where every 6 months...
Billy cannot do this anymore because pies are bad.
Healthy pastry. Anyway, so one thing, people made ridiculous weird pies, and so I tried to make a strawberry jelly pie. So I tried to make a pie where I baked strawberry jelly in the pie crust, so that it would... I
can tell you that is not going to work.
And then I put it in the fridge to set. And I cut it open, and the jelly just ran all over the table because it hadn't set. I put real strawberries in it.
Okay.
And the strawberries had cooked in the jelly, in the syrup, and had turned into something that was basically like a tinned strawberry, like those preserved strawberries. And that's the sort of... It's actually... So this has got that preserved strawberry jelly, sort of like, concentrated strawberryness at the back of it. I received the Optimus Pie Transformation Prize.
Is that the wooden spoon?
No, it was. Everybody got prizes. My one was for transforming a fantastic idea into a ridiculous failure.
Okay, so just so all of you are aware, I grew up in restaurants. My partner is a pastry chef. That is an abomination. It's just wrong.
I also
so many levels.
The previous year, I won.
Yes, I am a snob. Before anyone says,
I won the Isambard Kingdom Brunel Award for pie structural integrity because I made a pork pie with a 2-inch thick lid. Anyway, lots of berry fruit.
Itself is also wrong because you have to have balance of pastry. Just as an FYI.
My next one was even better. My next one was fine. I like fantastic pork pies now. I've got really good. I'll show you a picture of them later. Right. But yeah, loads of berry fruit on this. A lot more than I was expecting.
Yeah, spice, nutmeg.
Yeah.
I'm now in depression because Billy's just maybe depressed. I'm just going to have to drink more of this. So, and I think on the palate, when you taste this, what I like about this is this is a fluffy, I know that's such a bad word, but it's a fluffy whiskey, it's sitting there, it's like, it's like a pillow, put your head on your down pillow and you're there. It's round, it's juicy. We're almost back to the first one, but with a little bit more texture. And again, a little bit of that tannin. I definitely get the tannin here, which just kind of is supporting that fruit. I don't think it's taking it away, it's just supporting it. It's definitely a mince pie, orange zest.
I get that stuff on the finish, on the palate. The second I swallow it, that pillowy thing, I get this burst, almost like the texture and the flavour of Strawberry Angel Delight. That sort of like light, fluffy sort of burst of sort of zingy, sweet, fruity goodness. And then I start getting those orange peels and the mince pies. And then you get down the side of the tongue, you get this little sort of like grippy, yeah. Oh.
And that's that tannin. And, it needs that tannin, I think. And that's what I think actually, for me, makes this whiskey very interesting, because that tannin, that structure that's there, belies this very simple kind of fruit behind it. I think this is for me kind of the outsider, just because I know what it is. This is the outsider, and it's the one that, if I term as I used to work in Selfridges, amaze, amuse, and delights. It's interesting. It's something that's just unexpected, but almost it's almost like when you were a kid and you had your comfort blanket. This for me is my comfort blanket.
Oh, where's the comment? Matt said, Matt Baggett says,
spice cake hug.
And that's this is, of all the whiskies in the set, this is the one which I wanted to go back and try because I didn't know what to expect. I'd not tried it for a while, and it was different to what I thought, and it was this rather than something else, which is what I thought it was. And
I know exactly what you think it was.
Exactly. And that spiced, cakey, huggy goodness in there, that cake side of it. And I love that within whiskies, that vanilla sort of sponge with a bit of spice to it. A spiced vanilla sponge is my favourite thing to eat ever, pretty much.
Really? And this not Haribo's?
I like Haribo a lot, but no, they're not my favourite thing. They're my favourite.
Pineapple pizza.
Yeah. That's a different matter, Dawn, which we shall not discuss at this juncture about the
Would anyone like to say how wrong pineapple pizza is at this junction?
Go on.
I just started a war.
You'd start the war. You merely fired another shot in an ongoing conflict that's lasted for centuries. Anyway, cool.
I like conflict. But yeah, you know, this is. I agree with you. I think this is just one of those kind of.
Yeah,
it's a surprise.
I was pleased by this. I'm most pleased. A friend of mine who did the tasting set a while back just pinged me and went, "Oh, that tea, I quite like that tea. I don't know what it is. Is it this? Oh, I don't know what it is. Oh God!" And all of a sudden was taken by this one, and I just go which one it was. And knowing his palate, it's like, "Well, that's a surprise." And then needed to try it myself and jump on it.
And that's what this competition is about. It's about surprising.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we've had winners that were kind of ones that are old favorites, like Glenfarclas 15, for example. We've had really kind of ones that have surprised everyone, like Michter's, which was the funniest one ever. I think the reaction in the room was like,
"Hello, people who like Scotch whiskey. Hello there. So, which one do you like best?" "I like the American
whiskey." Thank you, Stuart. So you know, I think it's been really interesting all the way along. Is that this competition actually throws up really, really interesting. And you know what? I think you're right. You know, always look at food. You know, food is super interesting. I do a lot of food pairings. Those of you who missed my whiskey and popcorn pairing for a whiskey show because one could not do a 10-course meal in a restaurant, so I did popcorn. And I think you can pair things with a lot of things in spirits, especially. And I'm very passionate about, well, coming from a sommelier background, of course, food is hugely important to me. But yeah, it's super interesting.
And me. Anyway,
Billy will be having salad tonight.
Billy had a fantastic. You should look at my Instagram. You should see the fantastic potato skins and salad I had for lunch today. It was glorious. Guacamole in there as well.
No butter.
I've had a bit of butter and I put it back in the fridge. No butter involved at all.
Yeah.
Mashed potato last night. It was a very different matter. No,
wrong.
What's he got? Liam. Yes, Liam and Siobhan. Siobhan, you're if this is your brother in 10 years, please apologise to him now. Make him get better. Please don't let him turn into this.
If this is your brother in 10 years,
well
you know
done.
how?
Well done then.
All up.
So, no more comments on pineapple on pizza because that will just lead to schisms and things like that. Dawn knows deep at heart that she's wrong, so we'll just move on.
Not wrong at all.
So another whiskey.
Right. Whiskey A, B, C, D, E.
Whiskey number E.
E? That's fine. Hold on. If I was doing a, like...
Which way does an E? Is it that way? It's that.
E.
So that's my E. That's an E, you see? E.
What's the other finger? That's not what
then I can do, what's it?
Okay. That's like a Star Trek or Star Wars thing.
It's this way, West Midlands. It's a friend of mine from Birmingham, used to do gang signs.
I am now lost. Very lost.
Hello.
Hello, we're back in the room, in the world of
whiskey number E.
E. Right. E. Now, this is where I'm going to put out my word of warning.
Yes.
Because these are, the next two are bombs. You know, they're big, they're powerful, there's a butt ton of smoke in them. You know, do not be seduced. Okay, those of you who don't like peat, also don't judge these because you don't like peat. Look at them and say, actually, I don't like peat, but there's this. So these are my warning too. You know, I'm like, and this is where we're going to go back along the way when we get to the end of these, because that's super, super important. So if we pick up E, I was like, what are we on?
A question that's been asked
many times
this evening.
Guinness, what are we on?
Many hours of recording videos on the internet. Yes.
And some rum, because I have to have rum every day of my life. That's just how I roll. And what I like about this one is it kind of reminds me of the ones that have gone before. I think it's got that apple fruit. It's got a bit of that nuttiness. There is some florals there. There is really that
definite floral notes, which I had to say I was half expecting, because knowing now what distillery it is, I definitely would get that. But
it's powdered florals, and that makes no sense to anyone but myself right now.
Is it bad that I sort of get what you mean, even though I have no idea what you're talking about? Yeah.
Billy, we are as one.
So, but no, it has that. The smoke is there, but it's just it's part of it. It's a background layer.
And the smoke is definitely, I absolutely 100% agree with all of you guys right now, Simon, Pam. It is smoky bacon. You know, this is my smoky bacon maple syrup sweet smoke. This is 101 sweet smoke. And, you know, it's just got this nuttiness, but for me, it's that smoked almond. You know, if you ever had smoked almonds, I really get smoked almonds on it.
Oh, they're one of my favorites. I forgot they
existed. I do love smoked almonds.
Do you reckon Asda will have those? No, they won't. Oh.
No, because I actually looked for them when we did Black Top 24 Hours.
No. So Asda's just down the road on the way home for me. So, you know, oh dear.
Sorry, Billy. And, you know, this is really inviting. You know, I think the smoke is, you're right, the smoke is there, but it's very balanced. I think it's not too in your face. I like that core of fruit. That's for me what I really love about this whiskey, this beautiful, beautiful core of smoke, of fruit and smoke. And if you have a taste. Ooh, paprika crisps. Oh, I like that. This is definitely what I would call a chewy whiskey, you know. I feel myself, my mouth is starting to salivate. You know, I'm really feeling acidity here. And those of you who never see my acidity trick, if you're judging acidity in a product, all you do, taste the product, spit or swallow, whatever your choice is. And then hang your, I know, Billy's like, she's gone rogue. Then you hang your head down. If you dribble on the floor, whether you spat or swallowed, that's good acidity. I have turned this into something that none of you were expecting. Sorry, I apologize.
I entirely expected.
So, you know,
that's an acidity there. Always dribble on the floor.
Yeah. See, and you know, like it's that is your mouth salivating? You know, that's what's super kind of key when you're looking at acidity. Yeah, and when it does coat your mouth, but it's kind of, again, I have those tannins there, and I get this tea tannin on this. I think there is this slight sense of kind of almost a black tea on this. Maybe a Lapsang Souchong, you know, something that's got a little bit of smoky.
Yeah. The thing for me, outside of all that, we're talking about all these dark and sort of weighty and sort of like, there is a zinginess to this still. There is a freshness. There is a, like, it's one of those ones where it sits between eating a handful of mints while sat on the pier. You have that sort of sea breeze, but you also have that mintiness with there as well. So it's just like fresh, just general freshness.
And also, you could be eating a bit of vanilla ice cream in a cone. I almost get on this. So we could be sitting on a pier with some salted smoked almonds with vanilla ice cream in a cone, not a cup.
Do you reckon if you smashed up smoked almonds and you put them on vanilla ice cream, that would be delicious? That'd be bloody amazing.
That would be fabulous. And then a little.
Anyway, I'll write that down later.
Because that's that salty sweet. And yeah, you're 100% right. It's this saltiness there that's super lovely. And I really like this one. This is one I kind of keep coming back to, and I keep saying to myself, yeah, I could drink a couple of bottles, a couple of you. You know, it's just really delicious. And I think it's got this, it's approachable. I think the smoke there is, if you were not, I mean, I don't know if any of you aren't smoke heads and you don't really like smoky whiskey. I'd be really, really interested to see what you think about this whiskey, because for me, it's actually got a nice, approachable smoke. I think if you weren't a massive peat head and you didn't like, as I call it, the kind of medicinal smoke that's probably not my style of smoke, or that kind of green pea smoke that I don't really love. Billy knows exactly what I'm saying.
The taste of Lefroy to Dawn is peas. Lice shampoo and peas. That's what I need to say. I know what she means now, but yeah, you need to have a dictionary. We're making one.
It's a Dawn dictionary. It's Dawnisms. Dawnisms are very, very complex, and so I have lalas that my staff have to know.
The word lala means almost any single individual thing in the world, from objects to concepts. It's quite impressive.
And if you are one of my staff, and I have 40 staff that work with me who are all absolutely awesome and fabulous, they're really good staff when they understand what I mean when I say lala.
And it's worrying how quickly you understand, because, you know.
That is why they're all awesome and fabulous, because I have the best staff in the business. Yes, I do.
Anyway, whiskey.
So, you know, I think this is kind of, and for me, you know, this is actually a really good food whiskey. And I say that because one, you've got this sort of salty sweet thing, and two, you've got this tannin. You know, I just am dying for a bit of something like hamon, or, you know, like some oysters where I could just drop a little bit of that in. You know, I want food with this. It may be that I'm starving, but it is definitely, for me, of all the whiskies in the range, the one I actually really crave something to eat with it. And I think it's that combination of the acidity, it's a combination of the tannin structure, and it's a combination of just the drinkability of it. I think it's just fabulous. Very, very good. Now, we should probably go into whiskey. Totally lost. F.
Number F.
Not sure how I can do an F, because we're definitely running out of time, and we have to go back the way through, and you all have to make your minds up. So F is a whiskey that I put my nose in, and I feel like I've come home.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's I've got those lovely dried fruits, and actually in the range, it's the only one I really get a lot of dried fruits in. I get the smoke, and it's a similar smoke, but it's a little bit more bonfire. It's a little bit roasted, pulled pork on the barbecue. We've kind of moved into more meaty, dense meaty smokes, not bacon smoke.
No,
you know,
this
it's
one's got
different.
This has got a freshness to it, even within the smoke.
Yeah.
Whereas this one's got a little bit more, extra bit of char in there. This throw another log on
winter,
the barbecue.
You know, we've moved from autumn or fall to winter.
A clean sort of like a cold smoke in a sort of like a cast iron stove
Smoked
into
fish. Yes.
This is the into that wood smoke, that fishy smoke. So both are maritime, but different types of maritime.
And when we were talking about this whiskey, me and Skinda, my father always, for Christmas, he always takes kippers and he marinates them overnight with whiskey. And then in the morning, on Christmas morning, that's been our tradition since even I can remember. You know, I think that was probably my first taste of whiskey, was when my father, when I was super young, gave me kippers and whiskey on Christmas morning. So for me, that's kind of, you know, that Christmas flavors. It's everything I associate Christmas with this in a very, very funny way. You know, it's that dried fruit cake, then it's that kippers and whiskey. For me, this is almost Christmas Day, my Christmas Day in a glass, just by virtue of our Christmas when I'm at home.
The thing about this for me, though, is that it doesn't just sit on those darker flavors. That thing you were saying about how you get, there is lovely orchard fruitiness that comes through on this as well. This other side of this whiskey, which you almost don't expect, and all of a sudden goes, oh, hello.
I think for me, it's that kind of, I don't know if any of you, you know, I cook a lot at home, and one of the kind of easy desserts you do would be a baked apple with raisins and things. And that for me is, it's that baked tart tatin, that kind of,
but not down to the point that your apples entirely collapse into a pool of brown sugar and cinnamon. It still has some integrity, you know, structure.
And maybe it's, you know, back to your dried apple from the whiskey we had before. Maybe it's that, because, you know, when you have dried apple, you have that acidity, you have a little bit of that freshness, but you still have this very concentrated
flavor. Yeah.
And, you know, I love the notes you guys are putting up. Roasted nuts, absolutely. For me, this is conquerors. Chestnut, absolutely. Fruit gums, I kind of totally see what you're saying there, because there is a fruitiness there. There's a sweetness. Gummy bears.
My favorite tasting note.
Were the gummy bears the one that jumped here, there, and everywhere, or was that another children's program?
They are indeed gummy bears.
Wow, I remember something.
I used to know
Chestnut, absolutely.
I used to know the entirety of the Gummy Bears song, actually. Gummy bears. Anyway.
Okay, I won't tell you about Chanel and I singing the. So Chanel and I, when Joe Biden won, decided we would have a drink, socially distanced, of course, and we realized that both of us grew up in America, and we could sing certain songs that we grew up with at school. And it's kind of one of those things that you're like, I can't believe I still remember that. I haven't sung that song for like 20, 30 years. And apparently they stay in there for a long ass time.
Yeah, TV theme.
50, nifty United States from 13. I mean, these things are in your head for a lifetime, guys. Childhood shapes you. Psychologists aren't wrong.
Are you ready for the good thing and the segue back on especially when it comes to flavour?
Gummy bears.
That's not my childhood. That's literally, in Dawn, you can't hear this. That was literally hours ago. So only the Halloween bags, they're teeny tiny single handful shop.
Can everyone please, when any time Billy on his Facebook or his Instagram, Meat Robot, just so everyone knows, does anything to do with food that is not healthy, can we all attack him? That would be really good. Thank you very much.
I'm right if you say so. Anyway,
but I think this is a whiskey that kind of reminds you of home. There's something very familiar about it. There's something that just, I get a slight tea note again. Yeah, it's that barbecue, dates, absolutely. I think on this one before I got this kind of slightly figgy note, which I think was really
proper sort of like, not really sort of zingy fresh fig sort of thing.
No,
a nice squidgy. Yeah,
absolutely. So now, for those of you,
is that healthy?
This is vaguely healthy.
Look, see, there we go. Look, healthy. Look. Sometimes it was yogurt. It was good yogurt. It's nice.
So now what I want you to do is kind of go through and what I'd love to know, just go back through, taste them the other way around, go and look at other different styles and go back through and just say, okay, which one did I like? I tend to like pull out things. So when I'm tasting, I'll go back through it, I'll taste them in the reverse, and then I'll be like, okay, I didn't like that one, I didn't like that one, I didn't like that one, I like these three. Let me go back and taste those. I'd love you at home to try and do that, because that's the next thing, is them pulling out, they're all good whiskeys. There's nothing wrong with any of these whiskeys. They're all delicious whiskeys. It's now a matter of, okay, what's the best? And how do I assess that? And that's going back to which one asks you the most questions, which one's the most drinkable. I don't want a whiskey that I just want one glass of. That's just totally irrelevant. It's like a Parker whiskey. Who gives a flying thing or other? I've been very good tonight.
I know, I'm very impressed.
I know.
Normally it takes about the first 4 words before you get. Anyway.
I grew up in kitchens. What can I say, guys?
I grew up with my mum, so I'm normally spared by 3 words. So.
But really kind of say, okay, which one's the one that entertains me most? Because that's that's actually the be all and end all of this. We want something that people love, and if now, just go back through, taste them. I'm going to pick them up. I'm going to look at them, and also what you'll find is you'll find different things. So if I start with the first one, I still get that smoked mackerel. I go back to, if I'm working F to A, I'm now getting a little bit of medicinal on that E. D, suddenly that prune and that plum is coming through a lot more. Remember, I swapped B and C.
Yeah.
So now B for me has got so much pretty fruit. Oh my God, that's just erupting with fruit. Yeah. C or B, whichever way you want to go for it. It's got that just super fresh, vibrant character. And I go back to A, and it's just floral. The florals on that are totally different now.
This blog post, guy goes by the name of Some Whiskey Guy online. He wrote this post recently, and one of the things he talked about in that was the whole thing of, as you taste things, it will affect other things. Certain parts of your senses get overloaded, other things jump out. But also things just change. So always jump back and forth. Always go back and try them again.
Always.
And you'll find new things in there you may not have seen before. I say number C, which is the second one on your list, just to mess things up.
No, that's fine. I'm totally in control of my kissing.
I get a load of Caramac now.
Yeah.
So that sort of caramelly, almost white chocolatey, sweet and
that's why it's very important. And especially when you're not sure. If there's 2 or 3 that you were like, I just don't know. Those are the ones you need to go back to, because actually they're probably the ones that are most interesting. And if people want to throw up now, the ones that they think is good, not what they think it is, not throw up.
I'm going to say, don't use the word throw up. Anyway.
Put on the bloop bloop.
Yeah.
Put on the bloop bloop. Bloop bloops are the same as la la's, just so you know. And if all of you understand what a bloop bloop is, you could all come work for me whenever you want. So put up on the bloop bloop thing. Is it A, B, C? What's your favorite? Don't tell us what you think it is, because I don't give a flying fuck.
You did so well,
I
Dawn.
know.
Fuck's sake.
You know, I just want to know what you think and why.
Yeah.
You two are so.
No,
I was like,
this is
we're
because
uncultured. I know that.
This is because I'm somebody's brother 10 years down the line. By the way, I am watching all your comments, and yes, I am incredibly sophisticated. You can tell my little finger is out almost all the time.
I always have my finger out.
Oh, that's stop reading messages.
I'm going to see some dodgy messages very soon.
It just said, do we have any money in the kitty so that I can run a really nice charity tasting for Christmas? Every year, my whiskey club and I raise about £1,000 for Macmillan and Shelter. And so we're trying to do the same this year, despite the fact we've only got 2 weeks to organise it and we don't have a venue and we have to do it all online. Anyway.
That should be easy by now, Millie, for God's sakes.
Oh God,
I tell you now.
Anyway.
But so, like, for me, if I'm going back and looking at news, I'm still confused, and I've done this so many times now. Like, I just don't know what I want to win this competition, because I think these are all really, really interesting, different, although similar. Mm-hmm. A, D, and E. Yeah, you know, like, I'm not going to disagree with anyone because I just don't know right now, and I think it's going to be one of those ones that I should go to the polling station on the 17th and make my bid. A and E, do you know, it's very interesting. There's a lot of kind of.
I look forward to running my various different voting models. I do love a spreadsheet.
Oh my God, Billy loves a spreadsheet. I'm a buyer. I hate spreadsheets, and I have to work on them every day.
Former computer programmer, spreadsheet shows that basically I'm cheating rather than actually doing real work.
I think the key thing is, and take your time. If you don't want to make a decision tonight, no one's going to, E and D, E, C, F.
Yeah, that's good.
Interesting. I think, you're all right. I just don't know this year. I don't know. I cannot call it this year. And normally I am super good at calling it. I'm like, yeah, that's the one. But, hey, I think that's the joy of this competition, that you can you have the opportunity to make the call now, whereas before we always used to do the tasting, and we always used to throw it out to our customers because we love your opinions and we really value what you guys sort of think and want to do.
But last year we finally got to a point where we actually had our tasting packs. We got to a point where we had the logistics in place and we could do it. We could get these things out because it's a really fast turnaround. You make the shortlist and then you have a couple of weeks. You have to get all the bottles. And the law means you have to get Scotch whiskey filled in Scotland because and it has to come back down to Scotland.
I can tell you now, the reason I have so much grey hair, bar the fact that I've done about 9,099 virtual tastings this year, and I'm also trying to do buying, run the shops, and run the events team, is that the whiskey of the year is such a quick turnaround. I have to get everything out of Scotland. I have to get everything packaged.
So it's literally on the 17th, where it is. I have to run my spreadsheet really quick. So I can say to Dawn, here is the answer, here is the winner. Then we need to start working on getting that out there. People need to write stuff at the same time as you need to get all of the whiskies up to Scotland to get them rebottled and all of them back again with the right names on the right labels rather than just A, C, B, D, E, F. Yeah.
No, it's always a fun one. But no, guys, thank you so much. Pam, we love seeing you. You taste brilliantly. It's fabulous. And all of you guys. And thank you for joining us from all over the world. I mean, you guys are absolutely awesome. And vote. Billy, do you know what the voting loop is?
I do believe, I'll have a check of it now. I'm going to lean over. I do believe it's actually just the whiskyexchange.com/vote. That's what I asked for last year, I do believe. The whiskyexchange.com/vote. Boom.
There we go. This is why I have Billy in my life, because everyone needs a Billy in their lives, just as an FYI.
So, but no, if you go to the whiskyexchange.com/vote, if you have a pack, you'll have a unique voting code in the pack. Unfortunately, if you haven't got a pack, you can't try the whiskey, so you can't really do the whole tasting thing. So next year we'll have a load more. We had such a big take up. We had loads more packs than last year. We still sold out really quick. So next year we'll have even more. Make sure that you keep an eye on what's going on over the next few weeks. I say we'll announce on December the 1st, and I'm really looking forward to it because, as you say, you don't know who's going to win. I've got some sneaking suspicions, but when I say sneaking suspicions, I think I've got 4 out of the 6. I think have got a really, really good chance.
Well, so I've seen the kind of the front runners, and it's so tight.
I haven't seen the numbers, but just looking at the answers you guys have popped up there.
It's super interesting. You know, guys, thank you so much. And you know, please, we're going to be keeping these virtual tastings going through next year, because we just think they're really interesting, and we love talking to you guys online. And you know, this is fun for us as much as it is for you. Champagne show from the 19th to the 21st. You've got me talking wine, which may not entertain any of you guys, but champagne is such a sexy, awesome product.
I'm going to say a thing, and Dawn's going to give me the normal look she does when I say it. I don't really like champagne. Don't really get it. Don't really understand why people think it's great.
Until
but I'll be
Billy
going along
met
because I'm still on the fence. But Dawn is certain that I will be one day turned. So
I've already turned Billy onto wine, which was interesting in itself.
Yeah, my dad helped with that one. He does wine as well.
He does.
But yeah, Dawn made me drink wine, which is very horrible. But no, the champagne show, if you want to learn about champagne, which is the reason why I'll be definitely going along, is there's so much information there, which is more difficult to get normally. And we've got Dawn and other folks who are telling us all about great things in the world of champagne, just so you can pick up more information and learn more about it. Because we're all about teaching.
Yeah. And, you know, it's super important. And, you know, please come join us for that. And then we've got we've got 2 tastings with Mr. Dunn. If you're still there, we love you. So Colin and I are doing a tasting on the 9th of December. And
for those who don't know,
after.
Colin Dunn is Diageo's. I think we're going with irrepressible at the moment.
Irrepressible.
We come up with a different adjective every now and again. He's currently
irrepressible.
Irrepressible
Colin Dunn
brand.
And
ambassador.
we're doing a Talisker tasting, and then we're doing a special releases tasting 1 week after the other. I think the 9th and whatever the week following is, which could be any date, because right now I haven't got a clue what year we're in, let alone
we're looking at a couple of weeks in December. I'm just waiting for confirmation.
Le Blanc to Blanc. Well done, Judy. Love you.
But no, so fantastic coming up, and then in the new year, plans are still being made.
Yes.
But there will be more. There'll be fun and games.
We're going with Old and Rare. Old and Rare will be online this year. We're working out the plans at the moment.
That's Whisky Show Old and Rare.
Yeah. And Cognac Show, we're hoping to be physical, but we will also have a virtual side. Whisky Show, we will be physical, hopefully, and virtual. And I may have a few little things up my sleeve, because I like to go rogue.
I have no sleeves.
I have sleeves. But no, thank you so much. You're all fantastic. Marco, we're not 100% sure when we're going to start to Slovenia. It's all very complicated with Europe right now and everything, but we hope.
The answer to that question is as soon as we are allowed to legally again, we will.
We will. You know, yes, absolutely. You know, we love talking to you guys. You are all fabulous. Have a fantastic rest of the week.
I don't know. Is that a manly beating in my chest? I don't know how this works.
I do that.
I can't. I get it wrong.
Your heart.
I should know which side. I've trouble with the bastard.
Jesus.
It's more in the centre though, George. I'm going to press the stop button. Anyway, thank you very much for coming along. We shall see you all again soon, I'm sure. Night, morning, afternoon. Good evening, good night, good morning, whatever you are. Drop questions in the if you have any questions, Billy will be, I'm sure, online to answer Dawn questions. Will be online to answer all the questions because I'm having a pint of Guinness. Oh, do you have Guinness? I have Guinness. I'm off to go and find some Guinness. Night, night. Night. Oh no.